The bride made fun of a poor woman at her wedding, and at that moment she believed she was untouchable. The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers, polished marble floors, and guests dressed in clothes that whispered money without saying a word. Everything about the night was designed to impress. Everything except me. I stood quietly near the edge of the room, wearing a plain dress I had bought from a second-hand store. My hands clasped together, trying not to draw attention to myself. I never imagined that simply existing in that space would turn me into a target. My name is Milan. 3 weeks earlier, I received an invitation that confused me more than it excited me. It was heavy cream paper with gold lettering, the kind people keep as souvenirs. Rachel Morrison was getting married. Rachel, the girl I went to college with. Rachel, who used to complain about tuition fees and skip meals to save money. Rachel, who once cried in the library because she couldn't afford a required textbook. We weren't best friends, but we studied together sometimes. We talked about dreams, fears, and how scary the future felt. Back then, she used to say she would marry rich so she would never feel powerless again. I thought she was joking. Now I wasn't so sure that I almost threw the invitation away. 8 years had passed since we last spoke. Our lives had moved in opposite directions. I lived quietly, intentionally simple. Rachel lived loudly, surrounded by luxury. I wondered why she even invited me. Maybe it was guilt, maybe habit. Maybe she never expected me to come. Something inside me told me to go anyway, so I did. The morning of the wedding, I stood in front of my closet, which was small and modest. I chose a soft gray dress that cost me $15. It was clean and respectful. I brushed my hair, slipped on simple shoes, and looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't look rich. I didn't look impressive, but I looked like myself, and that mattered more to me than labels ever could. The Grand Meridian Hotel was breathtaking. Flowers lined every entrance. Music floated through the air like silk. Guests laughed loudly, glasses clinked, and cameras flashed. I felt invisible, and at first I was grateful for that. I found a quiet spot near a pillar and observed. That's when I saw Rachel. She was glowing, wrapped in a dress that must have cost more than my yearly rent. Diamonds sparkled in her hair. She moved like she belonged to that world now that I watched her smile. But it wasn't the same smile I remembered. It didn't reach her eyes. Felt rehearsed. She laughed loudly with guests who looked like they had never worried about money a day in their lives. When she spoke to the staff, her tone was sharp, dismissive. I felt a strange sadness watching her. She had everything she wanted, yet something felt missing. I approached her when she was briefly alone. I smiled and congratulated her. The moment she saw me, her expression changed. Her eyes flicked over my dress, my shoes, my lack of jewelry. She stiffened. "What are you doing here?" she asked, not bothering to hide her discomfort. "I got your invitation," I said gently. "I just wanted to say congratulations." She glanced around nervously, clearly worried about who might see us talking. Before she could respond, a group of her friends joined us. They were perfectly styled, their smiles sharp and curious. One of them asked who I was. Rachel hesitated, then introduced me like an inconvenience. They looked me up and down. One asked what I did for a living. I said I worked with people who needed help. That was the truth. I didn't mention the businesses I owned. I didn't mention the foundation I ran. I didn't think it mattered. Their smiles turned condescending. The questions became subtle insults. Rachel said nothing. She didn't defend me. She didn't change the subject. She stood there and let it happen. When the group finally left, Rachel turned to me, her voice low but cold. She told me I should leave. She said I didn't belong there. She said my presence was embarrassing her. Every word felt like a slap. Then she raised her voice, loud enough for people nearby to hear. Who let this beggar into my wedding? The room went quiet. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. I felt every eye on me. I felt small, humiliated, exposed. But beneath the embarrassment, something else surfaced. Clarity, strength. I realized that the woman standing in front of me was more afraid than I was. Afraid of being seen. Afraid of being reminded of who she used to be. I told her she was right. I didn't belong there as a guest. Relief flashed across her face. Then I finished my sentence. I said I belonged there as the owner. She laughed. Others did too. They thought it was a joke. Until it wasn't. I made a call. The hotel manager arrived. He greeted me warmly, respectfully, like someone who knew exactly who I was. He introduced me to the room. He explained that I owned the Grand Meridian chain, that I had built it quietly, carefully, without needing to prove anything to anyone. The laughter stopped. Faces drained of color. Rachel's smile collapsed. Her world tilted. She stammered. She accused me of lying. She pointed at my dress like it disqualified me from success. I told her the truth. I lived simply because I wanted to. I helped people because it mattered. I didn't wear my worth on my body. I didn't cancel the wedding. I didn't humiliate her further. I wished them well. I walked away. Rachel cried. She apologized. But her apology wasn't for the insult. It was for being caught. I left the hotel and breathed in the cool night air. I drove home to my small apartment, surrounded by things that mattered. Photos, books, memories, purpose. The next day, Rachel woke up rich. I woke up free. And that was the real truth. The next morning, sunlight slipped through my curtains and landed softly on the wall of my small bedroom. There was no grand view, no balcony overlooking the city skyline, no silk sheets or room service, just quiet and peace. I lay there for a moment, replaying the events of the night before, not with anger, but with a strange sense of calm. The humiliation had passed. What remained was understanding. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat at the small table by the window. Outside, my neighbor was walking her dog, waving at me like she always did. Life went on unchanged, and that made me smile. The world hadn't ended because someone tried to make me feel small. If anything, it had reminded me how far I'd come. Later that day, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I already knew who it was before opening it. Rachel. The message was long, full of apologies, explanations, and justifications. She said the pressure had gotten to her. She said she didn't recognize herself anymore. She said she was scared of losing everything she had built. I read it once, then again. I didn't reply right away. I thought about the girl I once knew. The one who shared instant noodles with me in the dorm kitchen. The one who worried about rent and grades and the future. That girl wasn't cruel. She was scared. Somewhere along the way, fear had hardened into arrogance. Money hadn't changed her life. It had changed her values. In the days that followed, I heard things through quiet channels. Some guests were shocked. Some were embarrassed. Some laughed nervously about it, trying to brush it off. A few reached out to apologize for how they had treated me. Others stayed silent, pretending it never happened. Rachel's perfect image had cracked, just a little, but enough for people to notice. I finally replied to her message. Not with anger, not with forgiveness either, just honesty. I told her I hoped she would be happy. I told her wealth wasn't the enemy, but fear was. And I told her that kindness should never depend on what someone appears to have. She didn't reply after that. Weeks passed. Life settled back into its rhythm. Meetings, phone calls, planning projects for the foundation. I visited the shelter every Thursday like always. The same people were there, the same stories, the same quiet gratitude. One evening, a young woman thanked me for listening to her when no one else would. That moment meant more to me than any chandelier-lit ballroom ever could. Sometimes I wondered if Rachel thought about that night, if she replayed the moment she raised her voice, if she remembered the silence that followed, if she questioned herself when she looked in the mirror. I hope she did, not because I wanted her to suffer, but because growth only comes when discomfort forces reflection. I realized something important during that time. True power isn't revealed when you can hurt someone. It's revealed when you choose not to. I had every opportunity to destroy her perfect night, to remind her publicly that everything around her existed because of me. But walking away was the strongest thing I could do. Proved to me more than anyone else that I had become the person I wanted to be. One evening, I stood in front of my mirror again, the same way I had before the wedding. Same face, same eyes, same quiet confidence. I thought about how easily life can change someone, how money can amplify both kindness and cruelty. I promised myself never to forget where I came from, never to confuse appearance with worth. The world is full of people wearing expensive masks, terrified of being seen for who they really are. And it's also full of people who look ordinary, unnoticed, quietly carrying strength, wisdom, and generosity within them. That night at the wedding wasn't about revenge or status. It was about truth. The bride laughed at a poor woman at her wedding. She thought she was laughing from a place of power. But power doesn't laugh at others. Power stands firm without needing to crush anyone beneath it. I went to bed that night feeling grateful. Grateful for the journey that taught me humility. Grateful for the choices that led me away from empty luxury and toward meaningful work. Grateful that when I was tested, I chose dignity. And if there's one thing I learned from that night, it's this: you never really know who someone is by looking at them. The person you judge today might be the one holding the door open for your future tomorrow.